What's happening? Staircases change, remember?
Yes, Hermione. I also remember.
To everyone who does not wish to die a most painful death. The third floor corridor, on the right-hand side, is out of bounds.
So why would you program the stairs to change to the third floor? If it were a common bug, the staff would fix the problem. It must be a very rare bug that is very convenient to the plot.
Does anybody feel like we shouldn't be here?
We're not supposed to be here. This is the third floor. It's forbidden.
Then why did you walk in the door? Were you hoping to make your way to another floor without the staircase? Just take this staircase to your left. You will be on the second floor, which is not forbidden. If Hermione thought the malfunctioning staircase was a good excuse for entering the third floor, then she would have stayed and justified her choice to filch. If not, she would have taken the stairs to her left. You cannot have it both ways. Also, if this room is forbidden enough to have an alarm at the entrance, it is forbidden enough to have a locked door. The rest of the film does not happen without this nonsensical chain of events. Speaking of nonsense, Voldemort killed a unicorn on the night Harry got attention with Hagrid at the exact time and place Harry was passing through. This encounter gets Harry's noggin jogging about how Voldemort intends to use the Philosopher's Stone. The ensuing fear is what prompts Harry to go to the third floor and confront Quirrell. Without this convenience, Quirrell might resurrect Voldemort.
It is a terrible crime to slay a unicorn.
From this line, we know Firenze would have saved the unicorn had he been able. So he is not an omniscient forest protector, yet he conveniently passes by to save and inform Harry.
That thing that killed the unicorn, that was Voldemort.
Firenze, what are you doing? Why would you only tell this crucial information to a child? You even know Hagrid.
Hello there, Firenze. See, you've met our young Mr. Potter.
If you told Hagrid, then Hagrid and Harry told Professor McGonagall, I would be shocked if she did not take action to protect the stone and the students. Remember, in Hogwarts' Darkest Hour, she is the one who commands the school's defense. Firenze's bizarre choice allows the ending of this movie.
Then I lent him to Dumbledore to guard the...
Yes?
Shouldn't have said that. What that dog is guarding is strictly between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that. Fluffy, for example. Just play him a bit of music and he falls straight asleep. I shouldn't have told you that.
This slip-up helps the trio discover the Philosopher's Stone, and they only go to the third floor once Hagrid reveals his previous slip-up to Quirrell. The issue isn't that it's out of character for Hagrid to do this. He is consistently dim, but from a writing standpoint, it is a lazy method to progress the plot. Since most people have average intelligence, they have easy access to decisions that are dumber than what they would typically choose.
What an idiot.
However, intelligent decisions are more difficult to think of.
Hello, Hamora! Well, it's worth a try.
Wait a second. If wizards can make doors immune to Alohomora, why isn't every door charmed with this spell? Why bother locking a door an 11-year-old can unlock in 5 seconds? If the protectors had used this charm on the outside door, the children would never have found Fluffy and started investigating. Again, characters act like idiots to move the plot. Here we have our first example of Deus Ex Machina. Please don't argue that since Harry has an established titanium skull, this hand melting was also established. That's like saying, oh, you have a bulletproof vest? You must also have a flamethrower. In a world with a magic system, it is possible for Harry's skin to melt humans. However, it is unwise to present the solution to danger last minute. Next time our characters get into a hopeless situation, the audience will remember this and think, what will the writers pull out of a hat this time? An odd phrase for the snake to say, since it never draws blood in the film. This may seem small, but think. If the snake had been consistent with its motivation and bitten Hermione, the series would have warped. It is her knowledge of the Time Turner that saves Sirius Black. It is her magical bag that sustains the trio. It is her performance as Bellatrix that convinces the goblins. The creature's reluctance to bite saves a crucial character.
How's the basilisk been getting around? A dirty great snake, someone would have seen it. Pipes? It's using the plumbing.
Look at the places where people were found. Can you see any pipes? Other than the Chamber of Secrets, no room in Hogwarts has a pipe opening half the size needed. While I appreciate the writer's awareness of the issue and attempt to justify it, they did not do nearly enough work to visually justify it. If the basilisk is seen or kills someone, the school closes. This creature prowled the school 4 times without killing or leaving any conscious witness. That is absurd luck. Wait, how small do the writers think this forest is? There must be a wide hunting area if the forest can support this many spiders. This is a big forest. Yet the car happens by to save Harry and Ron.
You first.
Why not tell the other teachers about this? If they are on a mad rush to save Ginny, why take Lockhart with them? They are slowed by keeping him covered. The teachers would be in the building until accounting for every student. They should be within a 5 minutes run. That means 2 12-year-olds, one with a broken wand, think their chances of saving Ginny from a basilisk are greater than waiting a maximum of 10 minutes and having knowledgeable adults go down instead. Children are impulsive and unwise, but that is admitting stupidity is driving the plot instead of intelligence. Also, Harry has shown a keen mind for deductive reasoning. Plus, children may be more stupid, but they are also more fearful. You may ask why it matters, since Harry still stopped Tom Riddle. The long-term outcome would likely not have improved had adults gone. We must separate stupid choices that affect the story outcomes and stupid choices that don't, but affect the drama. Significant story outcomes would include characters dying, Voldemort rising to power earlier, and world-changing magic being introduced. Idiocy for drama raises the stakes, but it does not end with a worse outcome because of it. People dislike this writing. If you have watched a movie where a character acted irrationally and then died, you may have thought or heard someone say,
"She deserved to die." Yeah.
If Harry died facing the basilisk, I believe Minnie's reaction would be, well, you deserve to die. The stakes of this ending are lessened by the stupidity that led to it. Really? Lockhart striking this wall triggers a ceiling collapse that separates Harry and Ron, but does not kill either of them. The writers wanted the lone hero trope, but hadn't established a logical reason for a separation, so they gave up and used convenience. Hey, remember when I said,
next time our characters get into a seemingly hopeless situation, the audience will remember this and think, what will the writers pull out of the hat this time?
That was to set up this life-saving Deus Ex Machina.
It was Ginny Weasley who opened the Chamber of Secret. Ginny who wrote the threatening messages on the walls, because I told her to.
Why alert people to the era of Slytherin? This writing throws suspicion on the students for months that could reveal Ginny's diary.
Ginny, please don't be dead. Wake up.
So Tom can interact with physical objects. Once Harry touches the book, he is concerned. Then why not pick up the book once Harry approaches with a basilisk fang? After 11 years of death, Tom should be desperate to ensure nothing gets in the way of his plan. These 2 moments are our first foray into questioning Voldemort's big brain.
Come on.
The Whomping Willow's motivation is foggy. At first it seems focused on killing them. This smash would juice Harry, and is consistent with its deadly intent in Chamber of Secrets. However, once it grabs Hermione, instead of hammering her into the ground or into its body, it spins her around for 30 seconds. The only reason I can think for the Willow to do this is a meta one. It facilitates this. Oh my goodness, Hermione. You are insanely strong. Even being generous and saying Harry weighs 70 pounds, this feat would make the world's strongest woman blush. Well, maybe people in this world have super strength.
You old rat!
Cabs has been in my family for
12 years! Curiously long life for a common garden rat!
What are the chances Peter Pettigrew would choose to be a pet to a boy that spends most of his time with Harry Potter? Remember, the last third of this film happens because Sirius grabbed Ron in front of Harry. If Peter were a pet to any other wizard in the world, Harry would remain ignorant. This is certainly convenient for the drama, but let's look deeper. Sirius and Lupin were seconds away from killing Peter when Harry stops them. Peter helps revive Voldemort. If Peter doesn't choose Ron, Harry doesn't get involved. If Harry doesn't get involved, he can't save Peter. If Peter dies, Voldemort doesn't return in the manner shown next film.
You go, I'll stay.
You okay? Fine, go.
If Ron is going to wait here for help anyways, why don't they petrify Peter Pettigrew to ensure he does not escape? He nearly escaped last time he turned into a rat, and it would be very easy for him to slip away again given the right circumstances. Hermione knew this spell when she was 11, and certainly a defense against the dark arts teacher would as well. What are you doing, Lupin? Peter is close enough to grab your wand. Lupin does this for 20 seconds. Why? Also, Harry, you just knocked out Snape with a spell. Use that on Peter.
Mysterious thing, time. Powerful, and when meddled with, dangerous. If you succeed tonight, more than one innocent life may be spared, and you would do well, I feel, to return before this last chime. If not, the consequences are too ghastly to discuss.
And why don't you go, you lazy git? You could time travel and be back in time for tea. If Dumbledore weren't evil, he could have helped capture Peter at the Willow, flipping the course of the series and saving Sirius from being hunted.
You must not be seen.
Hermione Granger has been using this time turner to get to extra classes for months. These classes are full of people, some of whom know she is taking classes during the same hour.
Ancient runes on the same time as divination. You have to be in 2 classes at once. Did you see her come in?
No one knows.
When'd she get here?
What a load of rubbish.
Where did you come from?
She is seen frequently. We have a blatant contradiction between what characters say and what is shown. Dumbledore doesn't know what he's talking about.
Awful things happen to wizards who meddle with time, Harry. Can't be seen. You're in Hagrid's hut now. If you just go bursting in, you'll think you've gone mad.
This is a world with Polyjuice Potion, you moronic mudblood. Plus, you know about the time turner. It would take 5 seconds to explain to yourself what is happening, and another 30 to tell Ron and Harry. Even being limited to interacting with others opens dozens of options. Here are 2. Run to Lupin, remind him to take his medicine, and give him a brief rundown of events. Run to Dumbledore and tell him everything. Since he is with the Minister of Magic, Fudge will get involved. Inform them of scabbards and point them in Ron's direction. Once Peter is in their custody, the process unfolds much smoother. If affecting the past will cause dangerous ripples to the present, why do they save Harry's life twice? Perhaps Hermione is only doing things she knows happened before, thus keeping the loop consistent. She knows someone wolf-called to save Harry, thus it is alright for her to wolf-call to save Harry. A loop must start somewhere. The first time Hermione went back in time, she has not yet wolf-called. Thus, there would be no previous wolf-call experience to indicate it is alright to save Harry's life. There are 2 options. Either the children can deviate from their experienced past, or they cannot. If they can, they are acting retarded. If not, a massive paradox saves Harry's life. Again, I will believe what we are shown rather than what we are told. A paradox is an impossibility. Therefore, Hermione must have made the choice to save Harry's life independent of previous experiences. Thus, it is possible to significantly alter the past without incurring terrible consequences. Thus, Dumbledore and Hermione are being retarded.
Dying. Both of you.
Expecto Patronum!
Harry understands that the person who saved him was himself from the future, spurring him to save himself. Like the Hermione Wolf call, this cannot happen. When Harry starts the loop, he will die from Dementor's kiss, because he has not yet reached the point in the loop where he uses the time turner. Once he is dead, or worse than dead, he will be unable to go back in time to save himself. A paradox rescues Harry from death, which, as I just said, is impossible.
Sirius Black is in the topmost cell of the Dark Tower.
Any minute, the Dementors are going to perform the kiss.
The Dementors were prepared to give Sirius the kiss on the spot here. What changed after future Harry left? Why are no Dementors guarding him? You do not need Buckbeak to free Sirius. All you need is 2 brooms and a spell a 13-year-old knows. These creatures have been obsessed with Black the whole film, yet leave the only man in history to escape Azkaban, with minimal security for an extended period. Let's talk about the time turners and their effect on the series. Why does Quirrell not use a time turner to save Voldemort from Baby Potter? Why does Dumbledore not use a time turner to stop young Tom Riddle? The excuse meddling with time is dangerous does not work. These people allowed a 13-year-old time turner to take an extra class taught by a fraud. And we've already proven you can alter the past majorly. Introducing time turners to this series, was not ideal. Still, I'm sure moving forward they will be used appropriately. What is Barty Jr.'s character? Well, he's a virtuoso performer. Remember, Polyjuice Potion does not change your voice or your mannerisms. If you want to effectively impersonate someone, you must put on an act. Barty's act is good enough to fool Dumbledore, a man who knew Mad-Eye well, and is observant enough to detect invisible children. Barty Jr. pulls off this masterful performance for months. He is shrewd at setting up events ahead of time to pay off later. He tells Diggory about the egg, Hagrid about the dragons, and directs Neville to the book with Gillyweed. All these setups have a buffer between him and Harry to curtail suspicion. Add careful to his list of traits. He is skilled at thievery since he can repeatedly rob Snape's storeroom without being caught. He is lightning on his feet. Look at him instantly turn Karkarov's dangerous question back on himself.
Only an exceptionally powerful Confundus charm could have hoodwinked it.
You seem to have given this a fair bit of thought.
It was once my job to think as dark wizards do, Karkaroff. Perhaps you remember.
All this evidence points toward a genius character, committed to executing his goal at the highest level possible.
Any questions?
He's also a moron. Barty's ultimate goal is to get Harry Potter into this graveyard so Peter can use Harry's flesh to bring Voldemort back from infanthood. Barty's method of transportation is the Goblet of Fire turned into a portkey. The entire ploy to enter Harry into the competition and manipulation so Harry wins is so Harry can touch this portkey. When portkeys are introduced, it is not a special magical item. It is an old boot. In fact, all the characters touch it without teleporting because Amos Diggory has not yet cast the spell to transform it. This means it is fast to turn an ordinary object into a portkey. Why then does Barty Jr. not transform an object in his office into a portkey and kidnap Harry the first day of school? What does Barty gain from choosing his path instead? He loses months of time in which Voldemort could have been resurrected. He gives people many more chances to discover him, he endangers Harry's life, and he allows Harry to come to the graveyard and return to the maze before Peter could stop him. In fact, Peter wasn't even waiting for them. It takes 46 seconds for him to pop out of the hut, and if the boys had been a little closer to the cup, they could easily have escaped. All Barty must do is petrify Harry in his office. Then both can escape to the graveyard, and if Barty then removed the cup, Harry would die. This option is so much less physically and mentally demanding, quicker, and safer that no human with these goals would choose Barty's path. It is the perfect example of a character acting insane or brilliant when the plot requires them to. Half this movie is built on a foundation of crumbling glass.
Veritaserum. 3 drops of this, and you know who himself would spill his darkest secrets.
Odd timing to introduce this potion. Had the Ministry given Veritaserum to Harry and Hermione here, Sirius would have been cleared. Had they given it to all the students here, Ginny Weasley would have confessed and the book would have been destroyed. Had McGonagall given Veritaserum to Harry here, she would have known Voldemort was near. Sirius Black would never have been imprisoned, and Lucius Malfoy would have been rooted from the Ministry. We have seen offensive spells interact before, and they don't lock. They just clash into each other, freeing the caster to shoot more spells. Therefore, this is life-saving Deus Ex Machina, since Voldemort would decimate Harry if it weren't for this stalemate.
Get to the port key. We can linger for a moment to give you some time.
What is it with these writers in Deus Ex Machina? Nothing before this scene establishes the undead and their ability to slow enemies. Maybe Harry could have gotten back to the cup regardless of ghostly help. But the more reasonable of an inference that is, the less reasonable it is that Wormtail did not remove the cup once Voldy freed Harry. Pick your poison.
Polyjuice potion.
Now we know who's been stealing from your store, Sorcerer.
Hermione brews Polyjuice potion when she is 12. Think how concerned people are about their appearance in our world. If you had a potion that literally transforms your body, at least 10% of the population would use the potion constantly. Celebrities would sell their hair at absurd prices, and every attractive human on the street would be approached for their hair. As such, Polyjuice potion would be everywhere in this universe. So why are you allowing teachers near your students based solely on visual recognition? Are there no pedophiles in this universe? Everyone carries weapons that petrify, mind control, and kill. It would be simple to remove a teacher or student and replace them. Worse still, Hogwarts has an easy solution in the form of Veritaserum. Give everyone Veritaserum at the beginning of the year and ask basic questions to find those who wish to harm others. Repeat this process at random times throughout the year.
Voldemort's back. Cedric, he asked me to bring his body back. I couldn't leave him. This is my boy! It's my boy!
Thankfully, since Hogwarts has a time turner, they go back in time and stop the third trial. They alert the Ministry, and a dozen Aurors touch the portkey at once to arrest Wormtail and baby Voldemort.
The evidence that the Dark Lord has returned is incontrovertible. He stopped.
What is the purpose of Veritaserum if you don't use it at formal trials? How is this not standard practice? 95 people are here, and no one thinks of it. Do not argue that modern politicians are dumb, therefore this is logical. This is like sending US soldiers into battle with butter knives. Do you understand that when every person in power is an imbecile, the world building is broken? So much drama in this film centers on people thinking Harry lied. If they gave him Veritaserum, they would know he is telling the truth. Even Fudge would have to concede, and preparations would be taken to prevent the Dark Lord's rise. This could have major consequences in the world, and if security were increased at the Ministry, Sirius might not have died.
Department of Mysteries.
How can 6 teenagers break into the Capitol building? There isn't even one security guard in any section they go, and the characters make plenty of noise to summon guards from other sections. Remember, this is after Arthur Weasley was attacked in the Ministry of Mysteries. Security should be doubled. Lucius Malfoy is a powerful, wealthy bureaucrat. He is not omnipotent. Even Fudge should have no power to remove all security from a place that holds accurate records of the future. With proper security, the film's climax does not happen. Thankfully, since Hogwarts has a time turner, they go back in time and stop Harry from falling for the trap. They alert the Ministry, and 40 Aurors ambush the Death Eaters. You know, Dumby, that wand in your hand is useful for combat, and can be used for such things as stunning the evilest man alive. I guess 20 seconds wasn't enough time to get the hint. Maybe Voldy's combat reflexes are legendary, and it would be a wasted shot. But that can't be true, since Voldy didn't kill Dumby when his guard was down. Still, I'm glad they gave Dumby dementia. How else would we get this amazing dialogue?
You're a fool, Harry Potter. And you will lose everything.
It's a masterpiece.
Liquid luck. One sip and you will find that all of your endeavors succeed.
That is powerful. Restrictions are needed. For example, establishing you can only take the potion once or twice in your life or you will go insane is a solid start. Sans restrictions, we have problems. You may argue the potion is
Desperately tricky to make, disastrous should you get it wrong.
and this does explain why it isn't brewed by non-professionals. But we see how potions are made. It is more chemistry than anything. There would be whole institutions dedicated to the production of this liquid. Slughorn parting with a vial as a classroom reward shows its rarity. Would you give an emerald to a 16-year-old? Even if it were that rare, one draught would give Voldemort the power to kill Harry Potter. Why hasn't Voldemort chased this potion? It would guarantee his success. Conversely, if the Ministry pooled its resources toward making it for the right people, they would be unconquerable. It's a shame Slughorn stops his exposition here. One more sentence could have saved the series from serious damage. Harry, since Felix lets
all of your endeavors succeed,
you would be better served using liquid luck to kill Voldemort. The information you hope to gain from Slughorn is only useful in service of that goal. Considering that you have had this potion for months, this devastates your intelligence.
This is beyond anything I imagined. I knew then this was a different kind of magic. But until tonight, I had no idea just how powerful.
If you had no idea, then Slughorn's testimony was crucial. Why didn't you stupefy him and give him Veritaserum? Don't tell me Dumbledore wouldn't annoy a friend for the greater good. This man plans for Harry to die to defeat Voldemort.
What if you did destroy each Horcrux?
One destroys Voldemort.
How would you find them? They could be hidden anywhere, couldn't they?
Magic, especially dark magic, leaves traces.
Then why didn't you teach that trace to Harry and members of the Order? You know Draco is trying to kill you. He could succeed tomorrow. Harry's lack of tracking knowledge is why half the next film is spent mucking about. Had Dumbledore imparted ways to find this trace, the conflict could have been resolved much sooner. Thankfully, since Hogwarts has a time turner, they go back in time and stop Dumbledore's death. They alert the Ministry, and 40 Aurors ambush the Death Eaters.
The Auror Office no longer plays any part in the protection of Harry Potter. Those closest to him believe we have infiltrated the Ministry.
Then the Minister of Magic would know, since he works with those closest to Potter.
Kingsley, I thought you were looking after the Prime Minister.
You are more important.
So why doesn't he give Veritaserum to all his workers to weed out the Death Eaters?
You're underage, which means you've still got the trace on you. If you sneeze, the Ministry will know who wipes your nose. We have to use those means of transport the trace can't detect. That way, if anyone's out there waiting for us, and I reckon there will be.
The Order knows the house is being watched. As soon as this large group arrives at the house, the Watcher could apparate away and bring back reinforcements. They are concerned with the Death Eaters finding their hideout, but Hagrid flies Harry to the burrow on the easiest vehicle to track. How could they expect the Death Eaters not to follow them? Even if Hagrid lost every tail, Bellatrix burns down the burrow in the previous film. She knows Harry spends much time there. As soon as they lose Potter, his best friend's house is the first place they'd look. They would find the place protected, which would only strengthen their suspicions. Also, they don't want to apparate because of the trace it leaves for the Ministry. But the Minister of Magic walks into the property the morning after Harry arrives. Even if you are convinced travel by broom is the best option, it would be far better for Harry to sneak out of the house using the invisibility cloak a block down the road. Then they could fly away with the hope of passing unnoticed. This chase is pointless. Why fear character danger when that danger was entirely avoidable given a second's thought? Long-term stakes are affected, and that Mad-Eye, a competent, seasoned ally, is killed.
The Ministry has fallen. The Minister of Magic is dead.
Thankfully, since the Ministry has multiple time turners, they go back in time and stop the Minister's death. They capture or kill many Death Eaters and root out several infiltrators. Why does the Ministry use visual identification for workers? A 12-year-old can brew Polyjuice Potion. This gets them a Horcrux.
The sword may present itself to any worthy Gryffindor.
But Harry wouldn't have found the sword if Snape's Patronus hadn't guided him to it. How could Snape have known where they were? Isn't the entire point of their setup to be incognito? If you argue Aberforth told Snape, 1. Aberforth resists Harry's Horcrux quest. 2. What would Aberforth have seen to pinpoint their location? They are in the middle of the woods. If Snape doesn't find them, Harry cannot use the sword to get Griphook's help in accessing the goblet.
I need to get into Gringotts.
This is impossible.
Alone, yes. But with you, no.
That is my price.
Also, how did Snape know the sword was teleporting? Can the sword communicate? Can it only do so with Snape? Why would the sword appear at the bottom of a frozen pond? Even in daytime, swimming under ice is dangerous. Why does the sword wait so long to present itself? If it appears to those in need, why didn't it come to Arthur Weasley here? Or Harry here, or here, or here, or here? Does the sword have good dramatic timing? Can it tell the future? If so, it really should share its knowledge with Snape. It could have saved his life! The problem with a character who only acts benevolent at random points is that it passes out of the realm of cause and effect. Though these scenes are being moved forward by a character's action or inaction, since we don't understand motivation, it is effectively convenience.
Hermione? Are you mental? Yeah, how did you find us? With this. It doesn't just turn off lights. So I took it, clicked it, and this tiny ball of light appeared. It floated toward me, the ball of light, went right to my chest, straight through me. I knew it was going to take me where I needed to go, so I disapparated. It came to this hillside.
The only thing we have seen the Deluminator do till now is take and restore light. There has been no evidence that it guides people to their friends. Just because you have established a magical item does not mean it is established as able to do anything. This Deus Ex Machina saves Harry's life. How did the Snatchers find the trio? They apparate away, and the Snatchers appear within seconds. If you could track people once they apparated, the trio would have been swarmed once they escaped the Ministry. No, don't run, apparate. Go to a new location and see if they can still follow you. Even once Ron is captured, leave him and take Harry. He is the chosen one, and far more important than a Weasley. Snatchers, why are you running? You have access to instantaneous travel. Foot chases don't exist when you can teleport. You have the presence of mind to disfigure Harry, but not apparate him away for 2 minutes? Who are you, and what have you done with Hermione Granger?
The Hallows exist, but he's only after one of them.
Why are you explaining your vision, Harry? Scream at her to apparate you away. This nonsense allows them to be captured and taken to Malfoy Manor. Here, they learn about Bellatrix's Horcrux. If they act with a modicum of intelligence here, they don't find the fourth Horcrux.
Help us. Dobby? What are you doing here?
Dobby's come to rescue Harry Potter, of course.
From what we've seen of this piece of glass so far, we can reasonably infer that a benevolent wizard is watching Harry. However, for this rescue to work, it must be Dobby the house elf specifically who sees Harry in the mirror, since he is the only person who'd recognize the dungeon and could apparate directly into it.
Are you saying you can apparate in and out of this room? Of course, I'm an elf.
There is no evidence prior to Dobby appearing that he is watching Harry through the glass. Dobby Ex Machina saves our heroes from death.
Would you mind presenting your wand?
Why does Gringotts use visual verification for clients? A 12-year-old can brew Polyjuice Potion. If you defeat a wizard, their wand will answer to you. These seem to be the only forms of identification required at the front. Once alone in the cart with a goblin, you can mind control him, gaining access to any other obstacles in your path. Hermione brought a bottomless bag into the bank. She could easily have kept a broom in there to fly around the thief's downfall. This is especially frustrating since Veritaserum is all you need to validate clients. Thankfully, Since Voldemort now has access to both the Ministry's Time Turners and Hogwarts Time Turner, he goes back in time and ambushes our heroes. He kills Harry, Ron, and Hermione, effectively ending the series. Yes, which is why you should make more Horcruxes immediately. Since your soul went into Harry without you even knowing it, the transfer process is quick and easy. Remember, the soul splitting is the part Slughorn stresses is difficult.
One splits one's soul and hides part of it in an object. Killing rips the soul apart. It is a violation against nature. 7. Isn't it bad enough to consider killing one person?
You just massacred a bank staff. Your soul is split to bursting. Make Horcruxes and apparate them far away.
You seek my mother's diadem. It's here, in the castle, in the place where everything is hidden.
To clarify, Voldemort hid one of his Horcruxes in the building governed by the one wizard he feared.
Who's the one wizard Voldemort always feared? Dumbledore.
He hid it in a box on the main path instead of burying it under a load of rubble in the back. He hid it in a room anyone can access, and he hid it in an object that would be alluring to the many scavengers who would constantly plunder this room. Even worse, we know you can require the Room of Requirements to be secret, since only Dumbledore's army could access the room in the 5th film. To put it gently, Voldemort is Down syndrome. Draco just proved you can apparate within Hogwarts. So why are these Death Eaters chasing Neville on foot? If just one out of these 300 plus Death Eaters apparated next to him and slowed him down just an inch, Neville would die. If they killed Neville, Nagini would live while Ron and Hermione would die. Man, it'd be nice if I could teleport away right now. Also, why didn't Voldemort booby-trap the diadem like the ring? It would be consistent with his petulant character and make Dumbledore's unfortunate encounter seem less like luck. In fact, if he used this curse Malfoy placed on the necklace in Half-Blood Prince, it would be a fantastic safeguard.
I think Miss Bell is lucky to be alive.
Don't tell me Malfoy knew a curse Tom Riddle did not.
You must be the one to kill me, Severus. Only then will the Dark Lord trust you completely.
Voldy is so terrified of death, he makes Horcruxes, and he doesn't even respect his foremost followers.
I confess myself disappointed. Not one of you tried to find me. Not even you, Lucius.
He would routinely give them Veritaserum to ensure their loyalty. Voldy would expose Snape within a month of their reunion.
I have to go back, haven't I?
That's up to you.
I have a choice.
Oh, yes.
Harry can return to life because he owns all 3 Deathly Hallows.
There are 3. The Elder Wand, the Cloak of Invisibility, and the Resurrection Stone. Together, they make one the Master of Death.
Dumbledore set Harry up for this position by giving him the Resurrection Stone and directing Hermione to the Hallows story.
Somebody inked it in. He doesn't pass the book, somebody drew it.
But Harry only got the Elder Wand through means Dumbledore could not possibly have predicted.
You need a shave, my friend.
Dumbledore, you have access to all 3 Deathly Hallows right now. Give Harry the Resurrection Stone and let him disarm you. Harry will be unkillable. Considering the dangerous task you assigned him, immortality seems useful. This stupidity not only creates drama that would not otherwise exist, but it's another blow to the intelligence of a supposedly genius character.
That is one of my more brilliant ideas. That is saying something.
Also, if Harry had the Resurrection Stone, you could have taught him how to track Horcruxes from beyond the dead.
So when the time comes, the boy must die?
Yes.
You know, if you did the smart thing and gave Harry the Hallows now, you could tell him this without embarrassment.
Why didn't it work for him? The Elder Wand.
It answered to somebody else. When he killed Snape, he thought the wand would become his. The wand never belonged to Snape. It was Draco who disarmed Dumbledore that night in the astronomy tower. From that moment on, the wand answered him. Until the other night when I disarmed Draco at Malfoy Manor.
So that means
it's mine.
Hang on a sec. Voldemort knows that killing your enemy will make his wand yours. Voldemort kills Harry. In which case, the wand would cease belonging to Harry and become Voldemort's. This means the wand would work for Voldy. It would also lead to Harry dying permanently, since he would no longer own all 3 Deathly Hallows.
Come, Nagini. I need to keep you safe.
Yes, a war zone filled with enemies who use explosive traps. Safety. Why does Voldy allow Neville to rally his enemies for 50 seconds? Look at the number differences. The defenders are not overwhelmed. In fact, the defenders beat the Death Eaters independent of Harry's return. They do so well, they wait in line to fight one witch. You'd think these 3 would show a bit more concern for their mother, but boredom is consistent with Arthur's passionate delivery here.
Molly.
Maybe they really hate her sweaters. Good thing Voldy didn't use a killing curse. You'd think he'd be furious at the boy who rallied his foes, but at least he doesn't have a history of being incredibly petty.
Lord.
Nagini, you moved twice as fast in slow motion chasing Ron and Hermione. Heck, you moved a lot faster heading for your dinner. Please don't take a leisurely stroll when your master is fighting the boy who killed him. Wow, if those bonds are strong enough to immobilize Harry's arms, they are strong enough to strangle him. How is he going to get out of this one? Ah, Voldy, why are you so dumb? You were smart enough to take over the wizarding world twice, and now you do things Forrest Gump would laugh at.
When you told Professor Snape that one was failing you, it will always...
Boy, it worked pretty well a minute ago. In fact, the wand never fails Voldemort. It underperforms. Avada Kedavra worked great. Try that again. Or petrify Harry, then apparate him to a secluded location for research. You cast dozens of spells at him seconds ago, and now that his guard is down, you throw weak slaps. You don't have to crawl. You can apparate his wand away in 2 seconds. Please stop. Okay, Voldy, you don't have any Horcruxes left. Your army is far away. And Harry just explained how your wand, your main source of attack and defense, is malfunctioning. You crossed streams with this boy 4 times before and have always been stonewalled. But you do have instantaneous travel that your enemies have no way of tracking. What will you do?
Why are you buying clothes at the soup store? Alright, you don't have to shout at me!
You cannot have Voldemort spend 2 films meticulously planning his enemy's death only to murder his brain once he achieves victory. Many people agree the world building and plot are bad, but cite the strong character work as a saving grace. Keep in mind that when I criticized things like Dumbledore's stupidity being necessary for the plot, that is a criticism of his character as well as the plot. But, to find even more detail, in this last section I will pin down the notable character beats in each film. To avoid confusion, I will refer to characters as players to distinguish the people from their character attributes. At first, Harry is unconfident, to the point where after learning about wizards, he immediately says,
No, you've made a mistake. I mean, I can't be a wizard. I mean, I'm just Harry.
His experience in a more positive environment bolsters him. By the end, he takes initiative at great risk to himself. The other through line involves Harry's desire to see his parents. When Voldemort presents them to him and offers to bring them back in exchange for the stone, the temptation is justified. Harry's refusal establishes a strong resilience to seduction that prevails throughout the series. Sorcerer's Stone offers Hermione's only self-contained character journey. At first she has a superiority complex because of her big brain. Ron and Harry's bravery in saving her prompts her to become friendlier. This arc is consistent, save for the ending.
Explain yourselves, both of you!
It's my fault, Professor McGonagall. I went looking for the troll. I read about them and thought I could handle it.
Why would Hermione lie? All she must tell McGonagall is that she was in the bathroom and the boys came to save her. This response opposes Hermione's intellect. It takes what could have been a positive capper to her journey and neuters it.
You're going into the forest after all.
The forest? We can't go in there. There are werewolves.
There's more than werewolves in those trees, lad. You can be sure of that.
When Hagrid takes these four into the woods, he is not delusional about the friendliness of the forest. He acknowledges the danger and brings a crossbow for protection. Even so, he separates Malfoy and Harry from the others. He even admits Fang is a coward who will not defend them.
Fine, just so you know, you bloody coward.
This man is devoted to Dumbledore, who, stated in his first scene,
The Dark Forest is strictly forbidden to all students.
Also, Hagrid is so fond of Harry, he cries upon giving him up after less than a day together. The only reason the writers had Hagrid commit to these actions is to further the plot, since the journey lets Harry see Voldemort. Ideally, plot progression should not come at the expense of character.
You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell. You know perfectly well what I mean. We'll have another little chat soon, when you've had time to decide where your loyalties lie.
If Quirrell tried to kill Harry and endangered students to steal the stone, he has already decided where his loyalties lie. Snape, tell Dumbledore you are in his confidence and have interest in protecting Harry and the stone. If you doubt Quirrell's guilt, then give him Veritaserum. Like Hagrid, this character snag is presented to forward the plot. If Snape acted sane, the film would end here. In Chamber of Secrets, Harry's character journey is understanding why the Sorting Cap placed him in Gryffindor, and why he and Voldemort are similar, yet distinct. Recognizing the positive attributes that separate him from Voldemort will resurface in the fifth film.
What can this mean? Help us.
It means that our students are in great danger. Hogwarts is no longer safe. It is as we feared, Minerva. The Chamber of Secrets has indeed been opened again.
By the time Lucius Malfoy dismisses Dumbledore, 3 students, a ghost, and a cat have been paralyzed. Additionally, last time the Chamber of Secrets opened, a student died. Dumbledore allows students to wander a school with a deadly creature. Then there is this little gem from Draco.
I'm surprised that the Daily Prophet hasn't done a report on all these attacks. I suppose Dumbledore's trying to hush it all up.
You may guess this is malice from Malfoy. However, think how invasive the reporter from the Daily Prophet is in Goblet of Fire. Hogwarts would be swarmed with reporters if they knew. Therefore, Malfoy is correct. Dumbledore is trying to hush it up. In which case, has he let the students' parents know? How could parents know without withdrawing their children? And if parents knew, word would reach the Daily Prophet. Therefore, Dumbledore has not told the parents. For Pete's sake, Dumbledore. You were there when a child died. You, more than anyone, understand the risk, and not only are you allowing children to roam, you haven't even consulted their loved ones. Are there no other buildings the Wizarding World can use to train its students? Heck, tents can be expanded in this universe. It would be far preferable to move all the students to the school grounds and create a security perimeter at night. Lucius Malfoy is 100% correct to remove Dumbledore, and if all the information were known, criminal charges would be raised.
How do you know my friends haven't been writing to me? Dobby hoped if Harry Potter thought his friends had forgotten him, Harry Potter would not want to go back to school.
Dobby is intelligent enough to know keeping letters from Harry might keep him from school, but too dumb to know this rogue bludger might kill him? No part of Tom Riddle's plan involves Harry. The chances of Harry being killed by the roaming basilisk are probably half the chances of being killed here.
You know, the very first time I saw you, Harry, I recognized you immediately. By your eyes. They're your mother, Lily's, and your father, James. He had a certain, shall we say, talent for trouble. Talent, rumor has it, he passed on to you. You're more like them than you know, Harry. In time you'll come to see just how much.
Harry's Azkaban character journey centers on him seeing himself as his parents. This pays off here, where Harry mistakes himself for his father. Once he realizes his mistake, it gives him the strength to cast the Patronus he struggled with. This is nonsense. Again, we have a paradox. This cannot happen because at the beginning of the loop, Harry will not have seen himself cast the Patronus. Thus, he will not have the confidence to cast the Patronus. The film even acknowledges this as nonsense.
It wasn't my dad I saw earlier. It was me. I saw myself conjuring the Patronus before. I knew I could do it this time because, well, I'd already done it. Does that make sense?
No!
While a fun line, I don't think acknowledging bad writing makes the writing better. You might argue character payoffs should not be subject to logical progression. But if execution doesn't matter, why not just have a black screen with text that relays the theme? Still, Harry upgrades his moral attributes by sparing the man responsible for his parents' death. Likewise, Hermione postmarks her bravery with this line.
If you want to kill Harry, you'll have to kill us too.
Snape shows himself at his core to be a decent person. Notice he is not just protecting Harry, he reaches to shield Ron and Hermione, signaling his willingness to sacrifice his life to ensure students' safety. It is an excellent setup for the player's payoff in the final film.
I didn't put my name in that cup. I don't want eternal glory. I just want to be...
The choice to save Cedric or save the cup is not set up for both options to be justified. Harry stated his ambivalence toward victory, and Cedric has been helpful. The idea Harry would let Cedric meet a dark end here would be unmotivated. Thus, this scene gives us no new information on Harry's character.
In order to win, each champion need only find their treasure and return to the surface. They will have but 1 hour to do so, and 1 hour only. After that, they'll be on their own. No magic will save them.
This line implies nothing will save them, because if someone saves the captives, what difference would it make what tools they use?
Mr. Potter would have finished first, had it not been for his determination to rescue the others as well. We've agreed to award him second for outstanding moral fiber.
If they intended to save Fleur's sister, why would this be considered admirable? Harry is putting himself in danger for no reason. It would be equivalent to scoring a football goal for the opposing team. And look at Fleur's face when her sister is submerged. This girl was fearful for her life. All evidence points to this group preparing to let children die for sport. I accepted the Wizarding World having a competition 30 times more dangerous than any sport played today. However, that was assuming any casualties resulting from that competition would be an accident the Overseers would do everything in their power to prevent. Watching children drown for sport is bad. In the next film, Dumbledore will sacrifice his position as headmaster to defend his students. This same man stands by and watches a student almost drown. Hermione is not as damaged, but still hurt. Because she was raised in an environment closer to ours, we know what framework she views sports through. She is also very outspoken against moral wrongdoings when she sees them. If she were forced to do this against her will, she would be furious and demand an explanation from her elders. And the idea she would willingly put her own life in danger for sport contradicts her character. This is not Hermione Granger. This is a girl who doesn't value her own safety or the safety of the innocents around her. Harry is similar, but somehow worse. He was the one who made the decision to save the girl. So he, more than anyone, understands what would have happened to her. He is also the one who stands up most to Umbridge's tyranny in the following film. And make no mistake, nothing Umbridge does before the ending comes close to as despicable as this trial.
Hagrid, where are we going?
You'll see soon enough. These are seriously misunderstood creatures.
Dragons! That's the first task!
Marvelous creatures, dragons, aren't they? Did you think that miserable oaf would have led you into the woods if I hadn't suggested it?
What are you going to do about your dragon?
I'm sorry, what is the point of this whole song and dance if you were just going to say what the first task is? A large chunk of this film could be removed if Mad-Eye were consistently explicit about helping Harry. What a delicious cherry on top of the idiocy sundae of Barty Crouch Jr.
How did you do it? Never mind. Doesn't matter. Might have let your best friend know, though.
Piss off. I reckon you have to be barking mad to put your own name in the Goblet of Fire.
Your brothers put their names in the Goblet of Fire, you idiot. Also, Harry is Muggle-born and has limited knowledge of the Wizarding World. If you were unaware of how dangerous the tournament would be, then Harry would have been as well. This reunion payoff is absurd.
This connection between me and Voldemort. What if the reason for it is that I am becoming more like him? I just feel so angry all the time. What if I'm becoming bad?
You're not a bad person. We've all got both light and dark inside of us. What matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are.
Harry has a clear character journey in Order of the Phoenix. Because of his PTSD from the graveyard, the false accusations of lying, and his frustration with Dumbledore, he is quite angsty throughout. His frequent visions link him to the Dark Lord. Spurring anxiety, he is becoming like his greatest enemy. Like Chamber of Secrets, Harry realizes he has friends, a luxury Voldemort does not possess. This distinction gives Harry the power to overcome Voldy's possession.
You know the smell, Harry. Do it! She killed him. She deserves it.
Harry's moral attributes are tested when he can kill an unarmed Bellatrix Lestrange. Like the series' best choices, Harry taking either option would be reasonable given the setup. All this contributes to more character payoffs for Harry than any other entry in the series. However, let's see how some of these payoffs were built.
His headquarters.
The Order of the Phoenix.
He couldn't put any of this in a letter, I suppose. Gone all summer without a scrap of news.
You wanted to write, mate.
Dumbledore made us swear not to tell you anything.
Dumbledore wouldn't want them to give information on the Order, Sirius, and perhaps the Ministry's reaction to Voldemort. But they could write about anything else. The idea Hermione would not know this is absurd. This girl was willing to give her life for Harry, and is perceptive enough to find a basilisk from a paralyzed cat. Hermione is made either unintelligent or uncaring toward Harry to introduce the sense of isolation he feels, neither of which are true.
The fault is mine. I knew it was only a matter of time before Voldemort made the connection between you. I thought by distancing myself from you, as I have done all year, he'd be less tempted, and therefore you might be more protected.
So why not take 1 minute of your time to explain this to Harry at the beginning of the school year? You were willing to spend all this time with Harry at the trial, and never once mentioned it. At least write a letter to Harry, or have Snape tell him. Harry is clearly traumatized and seeking your attention.
Professor. Professor! Professor! Professor Dumbledore! Professor! Professor Dumbledore!
Look at me!
What's happening to me?
To reiterate, Dumbledore is one of the wisest, most perceptive, kindest wizards alive. Many do not appreciate character journeys that come at the expense of another's character.
He's got Padfoot. He's got Padfoot at the place where it's hidden.
Get away from my godson.
The only explanation for how the Order knew how to find Harry is that Snape told them. Snape could easily have kept the Order blind and pretended to misunderstand Harry's hint. His commitment to protecting Sirius, a man he despises, reinforces his true character. Harry doesn't develop moral or mental attributes in this or the next film. He has already passed the character low point and is well established. Let's dramatically frame this love triangle. Lavender is the antagonist, and the stakes are whether Ron will choose her or Hermione. Therefore, for the stakes to be high, the contest between Lavender and Hermione should be either equal or weighted in favor of Lavender. Instead, Lavender is significantly less intelligent, less conventionally attractive, less socially adept, has far less history with Ronald, and Ron indirectly says he does not like her.
All she wants to do is stop me. My lips are getting chapped, look.
It can be difficult to conceptualize this type of drama in terms of stakes, but let me put the situation in a more physical light. This love triangle is like Voldemort attacking Hogwarts with 3 Death Eaters. Can you understand how the drama would suffer? That is what is happening here, and if somehow the writers decided Ron chose Lavender over Hermione, I would call the decision nonsense given the previously established information. Never mind the convenient timing of this slippage. This line does not indicate Ron prefers Hermione as a romantic partner. He has known Hermione for far longer and could be subconsciously recognizing her voice. The emotionally pathetic way Lavender responds here only spotlights how low the stakes were in this whole section. Draco Malfoy's setup is logical. Up till now, we've seen him as a bully. However, he's never done anything that could be reasonably classified as evil. The strain of having to kill someone clearly takes its toll on him, that will pay off in the next film. Before this opening scene, let's rewind to Chamber of Secrets. Lockhart says he uses the Obliviate charm to remove people's memories. He then steals their stories without fear of repercussions. Lockhart oozes dementia after cursing himself. Anyone obliviated could be diagnosed immediately. Therefore, if the spell were curable, Lockhart would have dozens of people exposing his story theft. The film is telling us Obliviate is permanent. Deathly Hallows Part 1 opens with the most devastating choice Hermione makes. She reads that Muggles are being killed and thinks that her parents will be safe once she permanently erases their memories. It is an emotional, tragic moment that is dumb beyond belief. Lockhart didn't even remember his own name and basic mechanics of his life, such as magic.
This is just like magic!
These people will be facing extended periods in prison. Even if Hermione didn't attend primary school, there would be birth records at a hospital and a national insurance number. Authorities will be hard-pressed to believe both parents simultaneously contracted dementia right when their daughter disappeared.
Came here once, Mum and Dad. If I brought my parents back here now, they probably wouldn't recognise any of it.
Oh gosh, they're gonna forget about places they've been to? You daft Dimbo, their lives are ruined!
The Potter boy will not be moved until the 30th of this month.
This is a false trail. It will happen Saturday next, at nightfall.
Considering the Death Eaters are waiting for Harry's escape, Snape told Voldy the truth here. With how many fighters ambush Harry, every person in this room could have easily died. Snape's goal seems to be this. He worked for the Dark Lord who killed the woman he loved. As penance for his actions, he desires to protect her son and further her quest for a just world. I'm unsure how massacring her son and people who fight for justice helps achieve that goal. There are counters. 1. Dumbledore told Snape Harry is a Horcrux and so must die. Therefore, Snape made a sacrifice for the greater good. So, did Dumby tell Snape about the Hallows? He knows Harry's survival means much to Snape because of his relationship with Lily. Dumbledore failing to mention the Hallows makes him even more of a savage git. If he told Snape, why is Snape endangering Harry's life before giving him the Hallows? Regardless of Hallows knowledge, the Death Eaters plan to conquer the Ministry the next day. Once the Ministry is corrupt and this band of rebels is dead, who will find and destroy the Horcruxes? You? Snape couldn't even find the one Horcrux stationed in Hogwarts after months of governing the school. 2. Snape is endearing himself to the Dark Lord for a greater end. Oh? I thought Voldy would.
Trust you completely.
And what are you possibly doing that's more important than a dozen skilled freedom fighters? If it's to protect the children at your school, you're doing a smashing job.
They like punishment, the Carrows. Today's dark arts lessons had us practicing the Cruciatus curse on first years.
Any way you slice this scene, Snape is vile or witless, neither of which are true.
Take it off. Better?
Right.
We'll take it in turns, okay?
Why? If touching it causes anger, then don't touch it. Leave it in your bag. It's a good thing Hermione is the established retard of the group. Otherwise, this would be really inconsistent. And Harry going along with this stupid suggestion hurts his character too. He has been solving mysteries since he was 11, yet can't figure out a basic solution to a problem at 17.
Please take the Horcrux. You wouldn't be saying any of this if you hadn't been wearing it all day.
After Ron carried the Horcrux all day, neither of you bothered to ensure he dropped it? You selfish pricks!
Ron acts irrational thanks to this necklace around his neck. It is difficult to sympathize with the crew when this blow-up happens because they aren't acting like the intelligent people we know.
I wanted to come back as soon as I left. I just didn't know how to find you.
Well, this is odd because Hermione made a split-second decision to bring them to the Forest of Dean, which...
Came here once, Mum and Dad, years ago.
If she has only been here once, years ago, How can she navigate her way back here, but Ron can't find his way back to a place he just left? Does apparition have good dramatic timing?
Don't be shy, sweetie. Come over. Now, we need to be absolutely sure.
What's wrong with his face?
Why didn't you tell her? Bellatrix. You knew it was me. You didn't say anything.
Malfoy's payoff here is an appropriate conclusion to his journey in Half-Blood Prince. Because he has thought through the consequences of killing someone, he does not want to see someone die, not even the boy he fought with the past 6 years. It is a reasonable capper to a journey that shows how to shift a player over time without betraying their original core.
Stupid elf! You could have killed me!
Dobby never meant to kill. Dobby only meant to maim or seriously injure.
Yes, but 50% of one of the maimed or seriously injured parties would be one of Harry Potter's friends. You can apparate in stun people, Dobby. Stun Bellatrix and stun these two while their backs are turned.
Dobby has no master. Dobby is a...
No, don't give a speech, apparate. You are placing Harry Potter and Harry Potter's friends in great danger.
Hold on. Just hold on.
Well, Dobby, you deserve to die. Deathly Hallows 2 sees Harry at his peak of wisdom and altruism. His willingness to sacrifice himself for the greater good is an appropriate progression from what we've established as a baseline. Ron and Hermione's journey is tied together. The romantic payoff comes with a couple of callbacks to previous interactions in the series. It is straightforward and appropriate.
We need to get into Hogwarts. Tonight, Dumbledore gave us a job to do. We've been hunting Horcruxes. We think the last one's inside the castle, but we'll need your help getting in.
Not a job my brother's given you. A suicide mission. Go home.
Dumbledore trusted me to see this through.
What makes you think you can trust him?
I trusted him.
You're lying. So, I'll ask you again. There must be a reason.
I'm not interested in what happened between you and your brother. I don't care that you've given up. I trusted the man I knew. We need to get into the castle tonight.
You know what to do.
How did that convince you? The only new information Harry says is that he doesn't care about your holdups. Why would that sway a convicted perspective?
Did save our lives twice. It was not us in that mirror. That doesn't seem like someone who's given up.
I understand this line implies Aberforth is conflicted, but it's a trivial character shift for him. So why bother filming the shift at all? It would be like filming someone's conversion from Coke to Pepsi. Is that impressive writing?
You know, Hermione, this would be a great chance to use that very effective fireball spell you used last time this happened. Also, Voldy apparated right in front of you and Ron. Are you just going to let the snake kill you? Don't argue they didn't have time to think of these things. They had enough time to plan this stupid rock throw fang ambush. They had enough time to do something actually smart.
Harry, you dumb bint. This film proved hundreds of people were loyal to the Dark Lord, who was basically Satan. Many of those people are still out there. The Elder Wand improves your combat magic and gives you control over death. With this wand, you could spearhead dangerous missions with little fear. Owning it might save hundreds of lives. Even if Harry no longer wants to fight evil, give the Deathly Hallows to an active Auror. Kingsley fought the Death Eaters for 2 years. He was always loyal and brave, even when death seemed inevitable. Give the Hallows to him. Now, with all this information, does Harry Potter's mediocre character writing override the terrible plotting and world building? No.